Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Feeling and Healing podcast. I am on today with Steve Haberlin. He is a professor at the College with the College of Community Innovation and Education at the University of Central Florida. And he is just a mindfulness expert and writes about how students can use mindfulness techniques, also new technologies. We'll talk about that, like AI as well, in helping them with regulating their nervous systems and de-stressing. So welcome, Steve.
Oh, thanks, Danielle. Honored to be here. Happy to be here.
Of course. Yeah. And you has a PhD. I won't call you doctor unless you want me to, but
No,
I
please
think
call me Steve. Please call everybody
yeah,
call
but like you did earn it.
me.
So
Just call me
I
Steve.
yeah, no, it's all good. But yeah, could you just tell me like a little bit about what you're writing about? I know you wrote a book about meditation in the classroom, but just share with somebody kind of what you're seeing out there with the students, and how you help them, move through their college experience being a little less stressed.
Sure. So, yeah, I write about and research mindfulness, meditation, and even some other practices like yoga. And I look at mental health outcomes. How do these things help higher education students, it's like
Hmm.
undergraduates, but I also done some research with graduate students. What's happening is this has been going on for quite a number of years. I call it kind of a silent crisis or a mental
Hmm.
health crisis with college students, particularly
Yeah.
undergrad students. Well, actually, graduate students have something sometimes as much as 5 times as much stress, but they don't really report. We don't talk about that too much. It doesn't get much attention. But undergrad students, the national reports, the national surveys show that, I mean, there's been a high level of stress and anxiety for even prior to the pandemic. And then it kind of, as you would imagine, it was exacerbated during the
Oh yeah. Oh,
pandemic. And then, but
100%.
there's still concerning levels of stress and anxiety among young people today. So things like mindfulness it's one tool, but there's different approaches. Mindfulness has become a very popular intervention because it's shown a lot of promise and shown some strong outcomes as far as helping students. And it's accessible, it's low cost. Once you learn maybe like a mindfulness meditation, it's you got it in your back pocket. It's something that you can
Yeah.
do, and whether people continue that's with it and stuff, that's another story. But it has been shown to help reduce anxiety, stress, in some cases even reduce depression, can help with cognitive functioning like focusing and dealing with distraction. So there's a lot of benefits from this. It's an ancient, you know tool or tradition that dates all the way back to Buddhism, but it's kind of simple tool, but it's can be hard. One of those things where it's simple, but it can be difficult to learn. It's best learned under an instructor or somebody that's an experienced teacher. But now we got digital. We're going to talk about that digital tool. You mentioned digital
Yeah.
tools, and
Yep.
so there's also a wave of digital tools that are coming and now being tested with students, not just college students, but other adult populations. And how do these? I call it digital mindfulness, but think smartphone app. Something like a
Hmm.
smartphone app. There's a lot of these popular meditation or mindfulness apps that would be a digital tool,
Yes.
virtual reality headsets, and now there's
Cool.
AI applications that are like a chat bot, an AI chat bot that's directing you, maybe teaching you a mindfulness method. That would be a what I consider like digital mindfulness tools.
That's amazing. I think that it's needed. I mean, I know like probably the biggest one everybody knows about is like Calm. Um,
Right.
that
Headspace, Calm. Those are the
yeah,
giant.
Calm.
Those are the
Yep.
giants of mindfulness apps. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I love seeing I love that mindfulness is like at because I always say like my like actually like talking about mental health and everything. I was having a thought the other day about grounding. And like mindfulness is not like not a trend. Like it's like and that's what I like to tell everybody. I'm like this mindfulness, grounding, breath work, like
Yeah.
more like thematic things. I'm like this is not a trend, people.
No,
Like this is what
it's
our
not a
nervous
fad.
systems
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
And I think so happy these conversations are being started because yes, mental health is brain related, cognitive, but there's the mind, body, and the physiological, and that's what I think mindfulness helps you do, like and to kind of lean into more connecting with your body and being at a regulated state, because
Yeah.
I mean I use those words regulated. Actually, I was having a conversation this morning. I use those words because I live in the world of mental health, and like that's the language we kind of speak, but it's all like some people don't know that a lot of people don't know they're dysregulated. Like,
Yeah,
you
you're not
know,
aware, you're not even aware of
yeah,
it
you're not even aware of that
because you
you're
haven't maybe
dysregulated.
felt regulate, you haven't been balanced or regulating the nervous system, so you don't maybe know that it's out of kilter. You know what happens is your baseline changes.
Mm,
Uh, when you have under a lot of stress, it's almost like the water rising and you don't notice that the water's rising, right? You're like in a tank of water and it's like gradually it's rising so slow that you don't really know it's going up and that becomes your new baseline. That's what
yeah.
happens with your stress response with your nervous system. You
Mm,
don't realize that you're under a lot of stress and then you actually adjust and now you have a higher baseline of in other words, you live with stress more regularly.
yeah.
And practices like mindfulness and meditation and yoga can help you become more aware of your nervous system and your reactions and your stress so that you can kind of reduce it. You can regulate a little more because you're more aware of it. You're doing things that regulate the nervous system by giving it deep rest,
Mm-hmm.
relaxation, and those kind of things, and they can have like a positive, holistic effect on the nervous system. But I want to go back to what you said about the being a trend. Mindfulness has trended in the United States, probably in the last 10 years has become a buzzword, but these practices like mindfulness, meditation, yoga are ancient technologies for the nervous system. They go back, mindfulness goes back at least maybe about 26 centuries. It's only just in recent years that we've grabbed onto it and, made it a thing and we put it in our marketing and commercials and in our everyday talk, right? But mindfulness has been around like 26
Yeah,
centuries.
that is true. Like,
There's forms of meditation that have been around thousand, maybe a couple thousand years. So
yeah.
these are not new. We've made them new. We've recently discovered them, but they're not new. They're ancient techniques that have been passed on mostly through word, verbally from like teacher to student. They've been passed down like that for centuries and decades. And then so what's changing now, Danielle, is it's just that the way we started to learn mindfulness and meditation yoga is changing because our technology and our communications
Hmm.
shifted. So
True. That is true.
yeah, we
Yeah.
shifted away from like student to teacher to now you
Mhm.
can learn on like a YouTube video has
Online.
changed
Yeah.
things a lot because you could go on a YouTube video and you could do a guided meditation. So it changed it where you no longer need the teacher right there, but it's more accessible and remote. And now the smartphone app brought it to another level and now AI being
Yes.
infused into these existing technologies like a smartphone is bringing it down to another level of
Oh,
accessibility
yeah.
and interaction. Could I give one example to the listener?
Absolutely. Please,
I think
please,
you
dude. Yeah.
mentioned Calm. I'm
Give an
trying to remember
example.
if it's so Calm has AI features built into it already, and Headspace just came out with what they call EBB, EBB, and they just released an AI chatbot that's connected with. So when you use the Headspace app on your phone, there's this AI chatbot called Ebb, and it now takes in your information, your data, your meditation sessions, and now it guides you like a teacher, a real-time teacher. It
Interesting.
guides and supports you through so that you're further, I like to call it hyper personalization, but you're further personalizing your practice now through this AI interactive kind of live feedback mechanism or intelligence.
Interesting.
That's where we're headed.
I think that's really cool because also too, I mean, I would love your perspective on this. I am by no means a mindfulness expert. I don't claim to be. This is actually mindfulness is something that isn't a growth area for me. Um, my mind does not sit still very long.
Yeah.
I'm always
Most
I say this to
whose
people.
mind does. Right, right.
Well, I say this to people all the time, and like they're not surprised because I'm like
Yeah.
an Energizer bunny. I'm like me sitting still and thinking about nothing or like meditation is like torture to me. I'm
Yeah.
I've tried and I like I've tried to like meditate for like a minute. You do it in small
Build up.
increments to
Yeah.
build it up. And I know some people they can meditate for like 20 minutes and I'm
Yeah.
like that to me sounds like absolute torture. Like I'm like I can't I
Yeah.
just I've tried different methods, but I think what I'm getting at is that I love that there's this AI and more engaging form of med
Right.
of mindfulness because I feel like it is kind of like a very individual like alone thing.
Yeah.
And now that with the AI and the enhancements there, it's becoming more of like a connection thing and relational and because it like I said like you need like that's why people have guided meditations because you need somebody to guide, like to
Why you want
guide you.
somebody, a presence, somebody
Yeah, like
there.
a
Yeah.
presence, exactly. Like
Yeah.
that's, and I'll just even go back to like a metaphor. I love your metaphor of the rising water. I love a good metaphor, but I'll use
Yeah.
another one with with anything, you need to be taught or coached,
Right.
like you're it's okay. Yes, mine like, like I hate to say it, there's a lot of coaches out there that are saying like they're a mindfulness coach, which I'm like that's amazing. I mean, there's a coach for anything these days. But like if you want to if like stellar athletes and business, high powered business people, they have business coaches. Leadership has leadership coaches. Like why not mindfulness? Like,
Right.
why not get more, resources and guidance in mindfulness?
Yeah, I think what's happened, you made a good point. You need a coach. You need somebody there to kind of guide you through. This might help your own practice too, Danielle. You're right. There are some techniques or methods don't work maybe as well for certain people. Everybody has different disposition and
Yeah.
different mindset. So you have to experiment a little bit and try to find a technique that works for you. So if you're like sitting there and trying to follow your breath in a very, what we call focused meditation,
Uh-huh.
maybe that's really difficult for you and you try what's called like a
It is.
sound or mantra. But some people
I'm
like
like, it
move,
is difficult for me.
but maybe like movement meditation. Like if you learn yoga or like Tai Chi, where you're moving slowly and bringing mindfulness to the movement, something like that might be your thing,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
You got to find what you resonate or you're drawn to, and then kind of go, and then you're on the right track. Then you build up your time. Then maybe say start with 5 minutes of yoga, 10 minutes of yoga, and then or breath work or whatever it is. But yeah, there is some experimentation. But the coaching aspect, you're exactly right. You need most people, well, here's the thing with the app, because we'll come back to how AI is helping as a coach. The thing with the smartphone apps is they're extremely popular. They make up the wellness and the meditation apps make up like 90 something percent of I'm sorry, mindfulness apps make up like the majority of wellness apps. But another interesting statistic is something like 95% most people quit a mindfulness app after the first month. Did you know that they don't
Really?
stick with it? Yeah, so
Yeah. I
they
mean, that
quit
goes back to
with
human
various
nature.
reasons. Yeah, they quit for various reasons. One of them might be they don't feel like they have that personalized connection or coaching, or they don't have a sense of community. They get bored with it, with the technique or whatever, so they quit. What's happening is if you with these, I think where Headspace is headed in these kind of companies is infusing the AI into the app. You
Mm.
now have this real-time interactive personalizing type
Yes.
coach
Yes.
that's going to keep you going and keep you through the hard times and give you specific feedback that can maybe help you sustain the practice. And I think that's where we're just headed towards hyper personalization. Now, the argument's going to be though, some people are going to listen or watch this and they're going to say, but that's not a real teacher.
Mm.
An AI is not the same as having an experienced meditation teacher, and it's not going to replace it. And maybe they're right. I mean, it's not a
It's
human.
not, oh yeah, AI, I mean AI,
It
a
might help, but
chatbot
it's
is
not.
not a human
They're
being.
right. It's not a human,
Yeah,
but
it's not a
it
human being.
it can offer accessibility. It can offer maybe more privacy. It can offer some coaching aspects, but right. It's not human. It's the same thing as using ChatGPT to, I don't know, ask for advice. You'll get information and you'll get feedback, but it's not the same as talking to a person. It doesn't mean I'll just leave it with this. It doesn't mean that's not a helpful tool, though. It's still
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
you
Like, or some
in different
self-reflection,
ways.
or
Right.
yeah. I
Right.
always say to people, and actually, it was previous to our call today, was talking to another therapist, and she's actually said that she told me that people like bring up that like they do her clients say like, oh yeah, like they don't say they go to therapy, but they're like, yeah, I asked ChatGPT this, or
Yeah.
similar to what you just said, like I asked for advice, or I'm using it in my journey, or my mental health journey, or my healing
Mhm.
journey. And I think it's great as a supplement. It's great as a tool, as an
Yeah.
enhancement, as like almost like I see it as almost like interactive like journaling.
Right.
But like it with anything, even with people, take it with a grain of salt with the advice part piece. um,
Yeah.
and I'll also debunk everybody here. The point of therapy is not for you to get advice from another human being and tell them how to live their, me as a therapist, my goal is not to be like, you should live your life with the way Danielle thinks you should live your life.
Mhm.
My goal as a therapist is to build you up to be, and as a coach, is to give you all the tools you need and build those up so you then can go out in the world on your own and live your best life. Sorry, that's kind of corny to say, but live, your most fulfilled state without me.
Right,
I don't want to be with
independently.
you.
That's right.
Like,
To have
like
agency. Right, right.
exactly, like
Uh,
building that agency. Let's build your toolbox, whatever that toolbox looks like, with coping mechanisms, with mindfulness, because, and I will say, like, I'm fine if you want to hire me and keep me forever. That's great for my financial situation, but for me, like, I'm like, no, like, I want you to, like, work together for a
yeah,
period of time, whatever that period of time might be, and then my goal is to actually, like, at some point end the relationship because you've done all the work.
yeah. You're self-sufficient now.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, more people, the data shows that more people are using chatbots, AI chatbots now for mental health, for,
Really?
yes, as an intervention on their own. So sometimes, and and younger people, there's an increase in young
Oh,
people also
that makes
using it.
sense.
So
I
you
mean, that kind of, like, it makes sense because it, like, it's like that's what they're brought up
their
on. So
thing.
they're like they're
Yep.
used to it. They're
Right.
they're asking ChatGPT
Think about
everything.
it. It's accessible if they have a cell phone, if the app might be free or low cost, so they're gravitating to that. But on the other hand, the research shows that the AI chatbots for wellness don't always pick up on red flags like suicidal tendencies. Sometimes it enables. It's very optimistic. It tells you what you want to hear. We don't know. We talked about this earlier. We don't know what the privacy, the data
Oh, the
necessarily.
confidentiality.
The
Yep.
companies assure you, right? They're not selling or sharing it, but you're sharing very confidential information. So there's a lot of safeguards I think that still need to be addressed. And then,
Yes.
but on the other hand, people are increasingly using these applications, so it can be promising, but at the same time, I think it's concerning because it's almost like we don't have this prototype, this mechanism figured out. It's like we have a car and we're still putting it together and we're
Oh yeah, we're
testing the
we're
engine, but it's
we're
like
driving this
some
car and
people are
we're
driving,
trying to
some
build it at
people
the
are
same
driving that
time.
car before we've kicked the tires and tightened the lug nuts. So it's a moving target and it's exciting, but at the same time, I think there should be some healthy concern about mindfulness AI, wellness apps. There should be
Yeah,
some healthy concern, and there has to be safeguards.
agreed. I agree with you 100% with the privacy, and, like, also thinking about AI. I mean, as you said, I agree with you that it is built based off of your behavior,
Yeah.
something that is, to validate you. Um, And that's something that, unless you tell AI, like, challenge me in this situation, like, maybe have a very nuanced prompt, which I have never done before. But I actually remember at the end of the new year, my friend sent me, like, a prompt, and I was like, it was very detailed. It was kind of just like based off of my input into what I think it was ChatGPT I was using, like, what are areas that I could grow, like, and all this stuff. It was like more
Mhm.
self-reflective. Like, I think
Yeah.
AI is a great tool for self-reflection.
Right.
But then when you go out in the world and want to apply that, that's when you need to practice a little bit of discernment and be like, okay,
Yeah.
where is this? And with anything, with a person, with you be like, okay, like, does this work for me? And yeah, going back to the privacy thing, as a mental health professional, I mean, I'm not licensed yet, but when I am licensed, there's a whole section of our licensing exam on ethics.
Hmm.
I'm bound by the American Association of Marriage and Family Therapists, by our codes of ethics, and one of those, our ethics is, client privacy,
Yes.
confidentiality. I can't, on my podcast, I can't be like, yep, Joe came in yesterday and he's depressed and his wife is leaving. I can't do that,
Right.
and it's to protect the
Right.
person.
I think
So
what's
yeah.
interesting, Daniel, I don't know if you've read this, but I've seen this, but when a lot of these wellness apps came out and these mindfulness apps came out, there was kind of a gray, it was like a loophole. The privacy, the data didn't fall under HIPAA, so
Oh, it
they
wasn't
were,
under HIPAA.
yeah, per se, so they were able to kind of do what they want. And then I think it's the Federal Trade Commission, they cracked down and they started rewriting policies so that they could grab more control over what's happening because now you see as soon as you open up a lot of these apps, you'll see that they're promising you like Trip app is a virtual reality app that teaches different mindfulness. It'll say right there that we will never sell your data, share your data. I mean, there's these promises, but sometimes companies don't always keep the promise and they share or sell, for commercial reasons. So, the other thing
Yeah.
is I want to point out, I think you're right with reflections. If you're there's a big difference between using ChatGPT and asking it to guide you through, like, teach me a 3-minute breath work or mindfulness meditation.
Yeah, yeah.
It's perfectly fine. For the general population, nothing, there's not really going to be any adverse effects from that, as opposed to, a teenager that maybe has suicidal tendencies, and instead of going to a trained
Yeah.
professional or a counselor, like you said, they right pick up an app and start trying to have this AI therapist help them. I think there's a huge difference between that. And I'm teaching when I'm saying AI tools, AI mindfulness tools, right? I'm saying use some of these existing things that are out there, um, to either enhance your existing mindfulness practice or maybe just start to get on the road to practice mindfulness. I'm not at all advocating it for like deep mental health, concerns or work or issues or
Yeah,
trauma.
or diagnoses, like, oh,
No,
that's another. I mean,
I
I
don't think
think
that's appropriate at all. Right.
we saw I mean, just not even mental health, physical health too. Like when
Yeah.
people, I mean, we saw it with search, with Google and WebMD. Like when people like they go to the doctor and they're like, I have cancer. You know what I mean? It's like maybe
Yeah.
you
That
just have
right.
like something else like that. I mean, and it's like
Right.
that's just the world we live in now. I think that's what I always say with any information. Always, and I'll bring this up because it's my podcast. I can bring it up whatever I want. But I was gonna bring this up earlier with the data when you shared that the data, with the companies sharing the data. Um, mindfulness is now marketable and also very highly profitable for us
Yes.
in America.
Yes.
Like
It's
you were
big
talking about
business.
this, back in the day, yeah, people did it, but now that it's profitable, oh, sorry, my internet got a little scared crazy there. Now that it's profitable, um, it's more prevalent because
Yes.
it's a business now.
Yeah, the term is McMindfulness. There's a book
Oh, that's what it's called.
written
Oh
by,
wow,
yeah,
Mick
there was a book,
Mindfulness.
and then one of the a guy named Miles Neal. He's a Buddhist psychotherapist. I actually learned from him. I took a training with him. I think he coined a term. He wrote an article called Mindfulness and Frozen Yoga, which is a great
Mm,
title, and that was about the commercialization of, mindfulness, of these type of ancient techniques.
yeah,
And
this
then
is
there was
so
a book
cool.
later written, Mindfulness,
Yes, yeah, that's all. Oh,
Ronald
that's
McDonald
great.
on the cover or something meditating. So, yeah, you have to be careful of commercialization and people exploiting it for business reasons. Can I give, if you don't mind, I'd like to lay out kind of a protocol. So if you're thinking of using digital mindfulness tools, I've created, I write about this in the book, and I also kind of blog some of these ideas, but kind of a protocol for like where do you begin and how do you start? And I
Yeah,
really
that's great.
think
Yeah, please.
yeah, I really think if you have the chance to learn from an experienced teacher, from another person who's been meditating and is a certified meditation teacher of some sort, whatever tradition, and you can learn from that person, or you can learn in a group setting or something like that, that's fantastic. I think you should
Okay.
take every opportunity to learn from a person, and
Mm,
then you can add the gadgets, then you
mm,
could find the shiny gadgets and you can add those and try maybe a VR headset meditation or an app meditation or a chat bot, because you have a foundation and you kind of know the nuances and the foundational principles of that meditation technique or tradition, and now you can enhance and add on.
mm,
It's very hard to just jump into something, right? Like something that's more an enhancement tool, you just jump in there and you just start using
mm.
it. You don't have any basis. You don't have anything to
Yeah.
compare it to. So that's why I say, if possible, human teacher, then move towards the digital mindfulness type stuff, enhance, and then kind of the third stage or step is then you figure out how to balance the two. So you might be practicing traditional meditation, and then every so often you have ChatGPT maybe give you right, like a reflection, or you get some feedback, or you try a new meditation with a guided app. But you don't just discard your tradition. You don't discard the thing that's been working for you. You just learn to balance it. And here's my cheesy metaphor. I put this in the book.
I
Have you
love a good
ever have
metaphor.
you ever
So
written
no metaphor will be
a
cheesy. I
cheesy
love the
metaphor?
metaphors.
Have you ever ridden an e-bike, the electric? Have you ever seen you've seen
Yes,
a
yeah, yeah,
e-bike?
yeah. Yep.
Okay. So traditional meditation is the bike without the motor.
Yeah, without
It's
the
the
motor.
old school bike, right? So I'm mountain biking and I got to pedal up the hill. That's your traditional mindfulness and meditation. You've learned how to pedal, you're on the bike, you learn about balance, all those things. When you jump on an e-bike, that's like the digital mindfulness world. So
Mm,
you're right, you're now not pedaling
very
as much. It's different dynamics, it goes faster. And so before you jump on the e-bike, it's probably good as maybe a child or something. You rode a
You
bike,
learn
right?
how to
Then you
ride a
get up.
regular bike.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
ride a regular bike, then you jump on the e-bike, and then you get used to that. I would say that's a great image for how to approach this stuff. Learn to ride the bike, learn the meditation, and then you can start to try the digital gadgets. The only exception, asterisk I would add, is if you don't have any accessibility to like a
I like
qualified meditation teacher, yeah, and maybe the best you have is a book or something with some steps, then it's probably all right. Maybe a YouTube video or something like that, or you try a smartphone app and you get your. It's better to get started on something basic. I'm just being realistic. There are some people that have maybe no access to. They're saying, I can't afford a meditation teacher, or I don't have one. I live in a rural
yeah, yeah,
community.
like
There's no
they don't
Zen
have the
temple,
access
right?
to it. Yeah.
There are a lot. They offer mindfulness courses online now. They offer, but you might
Yeah, yeah,
have
there's
that.
a
They
lot
have
of
them at
things.
universities, community center. I mean, it's pretty widespread. But if you don't, then maybe try something simple like a guided video or something would be my advice. And then just kind of go from there.
I love that advice, and I love the metaphor. And I will say, like, in a very digital, because I mean, I'm sure you know too, dealing with students, and I'm sure the research shows. I'm not sure maybe this specific thing and what I'm gonna say, but I know for me as an adult student, with everything being digital, everything just being digital is, I don't think it's great. I don't know if this, I don't know if there's the research done for it, but I don't think it's great for our nervous systems and just our, like, that experience, our
Yeah,
brains. I like I'm sure, yeah, there, like, I know there's studies done about studying, like studying actually, like, with books is better
right.
than on screen or using AI, but yeah, because of the impact it has on, you know, on
That's an
nervous system.
interesting one, and because I say learn from a human teacher, but it is interesting. It's not, I wouldn't say it's completely conclusive, but a lot of the studies some do where they do these comparative studies where they might have like a digital intervention versus in-person mindfulness.
Mm.
Sometimes they get similar results, similar outcomes, like in
Okay.
stress
Interesting.
reduction and yeah, and the mental
Interesting.
health outcomes.
Interesting.
There's some mixed results, but sometimes they do. We did one with students. It's in the papers in review, but I did one with some colleagues at UCF where we did yoga and we provided in-person yoga and then yoga through
Virtual yoga.
instructional
Yeah.
videos, and we got very similar result
Oh,
outcome.
that's cool.
Yeah, meaning that you could learn yoga, you could practice at home and follow the instructor, either virtually like through Zoom or on a video, and get very similar results as far as mental health outcomes and your physiology as
Physiology.
if
Yep.
you were in class. So that is interesting that some of these digital interventions right now seem to be comparable to doing stuff in
To doing
person.
something, yeah,
Yeah,
like an instance like that, a yoga class. And I mean, I will say too, as a therapist in training and a coach, like, my that's I mean, I meet people because I'm going to see clients. None of my coaching clients are, I've met in person. They're all
that's a
virtual,
good
which, I
point.
mean, I
That's a
guess
good
it's
point.
different. I'm
Yeah,
not like recording myself, and I do
right.
send them a lot of videos along their journey if they sign up for a package with me. But
Yeah.
as, like, as I said, like enhancements, not to be replaced with our one-to-one meetings. But I mean, a lot of just, like, I mean, you can have a whole therapy practice and never open up a door. But I agree with you with the person to person thing. I think initially, especially when you're working with people
Yeah.
and therapy, maybe diving into some wounding and some building relationships, because at the end of the day, that's what it is, building a relationship with somebody. Um,
Relational, right.
yeah, if it's
Relational.
relational, it in person, like, at least just maybe a couple meetings is
Yeah.
ideal. But of course, we
Yeah.
live in a world, right? Like, that's not a, like, you're in Florida, I'm in New Jersey. This conversation would be happening without the lovely
Sure.
technology.
There are benefits. It's just you have to kind of be intentional about,
Yeah.
what you're trying to do. And you reminded me of some research in the protocol. I didn't back it up with some evidence, but the reason I say tr if you really can try to learn from a person or like in a retreat or workshop is because University of Wisconsin, Madison did a study where they looked at long-term meditators, people had done meditation for years or decades,
Hmm.
and they didn't learn generally through a smartphone app or technology.
They learn from a
The
person.
correlation they found was either through a positive interaction with like an experienced teacher, or they went to like a workshop or a retreat. And you
Interesting.
know
Oh,
that
so
I've
there's
been doing
definitely
it.
like an
Yep.
in-person
And you
aspect.
know, Danielle, I've been meditating 30 years and I can't say what, definitively that's what it is, but I learned from a person, had a real positive
Mm,
experience with that person, and I joined a group and we had potlucks together and we shared experiences and
very cool.
they took me in. Yeah, and that was my original experience. And then I kind of went off on my own, but I might have not stuck with it if I had learned, say, through like an app or something. So
Yeah.
that's why I put that first. That's some evidence
Yeah.
just to back it up. Yeah, it's not
But I
I'm
will
pulling
say,
it out of thin air. Yeah,
going full circle to like what you said earlier about like how now AI is being incorporated into these apps, and yeah, maybe with just no AI somebody would drop off in a month. When you said that was kind of like personalized to me,
yeah.
and I'll be as a coach therapist as a coach. And so I'm going to debunk everybody. Whatever your coach says they specialize in, yes, they're probably an expert in that. But what you also really are paying for is accountability. You're paying for somebody to hold you
Yeah.
accountable that you did X,
Good
Y, and
point.
Z
Yep.
to move them forward. And that's what I think maybe AI would help with in these enhancements you're talking about. Like it'll, help with people holding people accountable to the habit building of
Right.
building their mindfulness muscle. Because that's what it is too. Like I think I shared with you before this call. I have tried to build my mindfulness muscle in the area of meditation. But for me, I just can't get there. So I use other forms of mindfulness. Like that's like for me, like guided meditation is probably the best form of
Mhm.
meditation
Yeah.
if I'm going to meditate, because my self-discipline is not that strong in my own meditative abilities.
Sometimes it's a technique. Like the one
Yeah.
I learned originally 30 years ago is a mantra.
Okay.
And it doesn't take any effort. It's really the whole idea of it is effortless. You're not
Yeah, it's supposed to be that's supposed to be
does
work.
yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't work. Um, and one of the misconceptions a lot if people are trying a meditation and they're struggling right now with some method is mind wandering is a very common like that is what the mind does. It's
Yeah, it's
perfectly
gonna like
natural for your mind to wander.
yeah.
They've even done brain imaging and they found that is what happens. You start the technique, like let's say I'm focusing on my breath.
Mm-hmm.
My mind is going to wander. I'm going to get distracted or have
That
thoughts.
is true.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
that's
your mind and your
perfectly
body are
normal.
connected.
Perfectly normal. And then what you do is then you have to gently come back to your focal point, whether that's the breath or the mantra. So just understand that that's perfectly normal. It's just training yourself to come back,
Got
without
it.
fighting. You just kind of notice it, and then you go, oh, I'm kind of distracted. I'm just come back to my focal point.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Well,
the
that's good to
practice.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Sounds
that
easy. Sounds easy. It's
well that yeah, I
harder
think, and also too, I'm
to
sure you
practice.
know, and I talk about this a lot because I think it's not talked about enough. Like I like to like kind of uncover these like stories, but we live in a system in a world. Like I say this all the time to people. Our bodies and brains were not developed enough to for this much stimulation.
Yeah.
Like
Great point. Yeah,
with
that's
um
true. Yeah.
I think with social media, with
Yeah.
the amount like back in the I think I mean I didn't have done no research on this, and I'm just saying a theory. This is just a hypothesis. This is not evidence-based whatsoever. But I think the stimulation is keeping us like the fact that my phone, if my phone is next to me right now, I mean, to keep my phone on do not disturb a lot during the day when I'm working. The fact that if that little ping that goes off or that little light that flickers
Yeah.
potentially could put my nervous system into fight or flight from a little sound, that tells me and everything is notifications, texts, emails, it's constant
Yeah.
activation.
Constant, constant stimulation, constant
Hmm.
distraction.
Yep.
That's a good point. I don't think we're designed for that. I think we're adapting
We're
very
adapting for
we're
sure, but our
adapting, but very slowly. We're stressed as it's stressful as we're trying to make the change and adapt. But yeah,
yeah.
the amount of data that we receive and things that come at us per day is not anything like our ancestors, had
Oh yeah,
experience. And
no.
I think our nervous systems are maybe reacting to that. I don't want to scare you or make it worse, but you want my theory because this is also My next book
Sure. Yeah,
is
I no, I know. And I mean
this
like
is a
that's why like
premise too of my
that's why
next
I like to
book.
talk
Yeah,
about this kind of stuff because
yeah,
that I say I like you're in if you are not if you are dysregulated, your
yeah.
nervous system is dysregulated for a long period of time, you are not living. You are in survival mode. You're
Right.
just coping. That is not living. And I think 70% of our I would say the adult world is
In survival mode.
in survival mode.
Yeah, I think that baseline has definitely crept up. So here's the theory. Here's the theory. This is a premise for another book, right? That I came up with.
I love it.
Is social media has done that. Social media has
Yes.
just bombarded us with distraction and information and everything. Okay, so that was really the first onslaught of
Yes.
distraction or attention. Now the next wave is AI. AI is now
Mm.
not only like all the AI tools and everything, but it's being my understanding is it's being designed to enhance social media. It's being designed to distract you more towards purchasing and consumerism and these kind of things. So it's going to drive further distraction. It's going to get, in other words, it's going to get better at distracting us.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yep.
good, right? Because it's very smart. So it's going to use that, or people are
Mm.
going to use that to distract us even more. So we're entering, I think, an era with AI that's exciting, but it's also going to be one of hyper distraction
Uh,
and hyper creation,
mm.
meaning you have a lot of tools to create and you could do a lot of things, maybe like, I don't know, build an app or something you couldn't do before because AI is going to enable you to be hyper creative, but it's also going to kind of segment some of the population to be hyper distracted because they're going to be focused on, buy more stuff, watch
Yeah,
this,
like what? Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
spend more time on this social media site or something. So the premise that I have is that makes mindfulness or mental training now is going to be even more important. So now you have to be hyper conscious. You have to be hyper mindful to kind of offset what AI I think is going to do to us, and also use AI tools not as tools of distraction, but use them as mindfulness training tools, mental health tools as they get better, with the safeguards. Use them to enhance our cognition, enhance our focus, enhance our well-being,
Yeah, yeah.
rather than allow them to use you. That's the
Well,
premise, Danielle. For the
well, as a former marketer, I they say that they've told me this, and you'll agree, we are the product,
with
human
other
beings.
products. That's right.
Our attention, our time, our money, we are
Commodity, right?
that's all they
Yeah.
want. They want our
Yeah.
attention. So I learned that like long and I agree with you. And I
Yeah.
love that you brought up that, practicing a little like if you're using it for a productive practice, yes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It can be helpful, but using your own discernment with these AI tools and
Yeah.
they're all not created equal. And knowing what works best for you too. I mean, something that, like I personally, like I don't have Calm the app. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
use different somatic tools in my own toolbox that I use. So like I don't need an app and like that's okay.
And that could be
Like
okay. You might have to get rid of that, for
yeah, yeah.
not use that at times because of what's happening. But here's a simple example of to prove this. So you could go for a walk, and I've done both. You go for a
Yeah,
walk and
yeah.
you're on LinkedIn or you're on Facebook or whatever, right? And you're like scrolling as you're walking, so you're not really present and you're maybe that's adding to your stress because you're reading
Yeah.
things that are annoying you or whatever. Or you could use that same tool and I could say, okay, what I've done with ChatGPT is you can create what's called like a custom GPT, and you
Yeah.
could make a meditation teacher, right? A mindfulness teacher with a personality, all this. And I could say, and so instead of scrolling to my social media getting stressed out on my walk, I could say, guide me through a walking meditation. Have
Yeah.
me do some breath
Yeah.
work, have me be more aware of my surroundings and bring my stress level down. Go. And it will, put the voice activation on and will walk me through and teach me that. You see, so it's the same
It's both,
tool.
yeah, it's very yeah, you're both using a
Same thing in your hand, same device, but you could use it with intentionality or you can just get lost. And I mean, there are times I think it's okay to have some downtime or space out or, watch Netflix and I think there's intentional distraction, but
yeah, yeah,
not
absolutely.
24/7, and not as a AI hyper distracts us. I think we would have to become more intentional about how we're using it.
Yeah, and I think we're just at the forefront. And you
At
talked
the
about like,
fore, yeah,
AI. Yeah, like I mean, because I think we've already seen with like the internet age and the social media age how impactful. Because as you said, the impact. I believe, and this is, I'm not, don't quote me on this because I'm not a researcher, but I believe that when social media came about, like they've done some research that there was a spike in teenage girls
Ab-
suicides.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, there
Well,
was.
thank you for
I think
validating that because
boys and girls, but girls in particular went.
yeah,
The
that was
rates were
that like
even
there and
higher.
you and they
Yeah,
traced it back
they
to
traced
kind
it back
of
to the
that's when social media
when social
really
media came out. Maybe 2000. Well, no, 2007 was. I'm probably getting the years wrong, but you're absolutely
yeah,
right. There's a great book. There's a book on it too. Geez, I can't think of
it's
the.
all right.
There's
No
the
worries.
iGen. It's the person who wrote iGen.
Okay, I Jen.
iGen. It might be iGen is the name of the book, but yeah, it
It
shows
shows the
that correlation of yeah when social media came out and then these depression levels, even
suicide
suicide rates I
rates.
think were affected. Yeah, and it was more with girls. And the reason I know is I have two teen, well, one's not a teenager anymore, and one's on last year of high school. But yeah, and they went through that. They grew up
They
through
did.
that.
Oh, they were
So
like that. That you saw it in real time.
so in
Yeah.
real time, and it's a real thing. I mean, they were comparing themselves to other girl, and this
Yep.
is the body image and all this stuff. And yeah, there's definitely, I definitely believe that really affected the mental health of that generation and
Oh,
stuff.
100%.
Yeah,
And as you
still
were
does.
talking, I was thinking, and I would love your perspective on this because I see it as a student. I see it as a person. So I think, and I think this is why it's even more important that, as you said, you walk through the world with intentionality. In general, I feel like that's important to me, but
Yeah.
especially with AI, because AI is going to make us, I already see it, very mentally lazy. And I think we are going to need to be sharper and not be as like, entranced with all of this stuff because I see it coming that we are cognitive like
Yeah.
that's why building up your skills and your
Right.
tools are so important and investing in that because you don't want to be, have something else be training you to do that. Like that's your job as a human being.
Yeah, I think there was a study came out where they had people write, was it maybe college students where they tested them writing with AI and they found out that they couldn't remember what they wrote was one of the findings. They couldn't even remember what they wrote, which is kind of what you expect because they didn't really write it. ChatGPT wrote the essays and then they couldn't remember it. So
Well, yeah. Well,
there's
yeah, that yeah.
definitely a concern. I don't think there's enough research to say AI is going to create cognitive decline, but that is like the general. That's kind of the popular theory is that it's going to make us not think as
Well, yeah, I'm
much
not
and
saying cognitive
mentally
decline.
lazy. Yeah,
I don't like, I just think it's gonna make us a little so like it's fun like I'll use an example, right? Like I think my one friend told me, and I was like, I can't believe this is like a conversation we're having because of coming from where this is my morals and my values. But she was having an argument with her friend and over text, because that's what happens,
what we do
it's
now.
life.
Yeah,
And she called out her friend on the text because she was like, is your response from like AI? And her friend was like, no, no, no. But like, you have like, you could like, and it's like, that's, if I'm like, I feel like if you use it in that way, like, that is a
yeah,
human skill, like
right.
communication, human skill. Like
Yeah,
the way I communicate, like, and write, and I will be honest with you, I'm a business owner. AI is ChatGPT, Claude, they're my copywriters.
right.
Like, but I am putting in and looking at it and putting in my tone of voice. Of course, they're going to learn my tone of voice by the input that I put in it and the prompts, but also too, I'm not, that's the function of it. You know what I mean? But I'm not asking it for advice. I'm not asking it for to spit out an answer to a text
Yeah,
message to a personal relationship. Like that, I
that you
think
could just
that
take
is
that. Right.
crazy to me. Like
Yeah.
I'm like that person that you, she's like, yeah, she's like, I think it was AI, Danielle. I was like, that to my mind didn't even go there if I'm having a conversation with somebody to be like, oh yeah, let's put it in AI. But I think that is unfortunately what's
Yeah, there
in
are
this
certain things maybe
generation.
that should be reserved for like a eulogy. You have to write a eulogy for
Uh,
someone, right? And
well,
people are or a wedding, the best man speech at a wedding or something. Maybe you're starting to hear a lot of the same
yeah, no,
kind of
it's so
themes
funny you
and
mentioned
stuff.
that. Like
Yeah,
somebody I know, like their obituary, they were she was
sure.
the first,
Yeah,
she was in the immediate family of somebody passed away, and somebody else wrote an obituary, but she was like, oh yeah, I just put it in ChatGPT, and my friend was like,
yeah.
okay, like like maybe we
I'll.
should make this
All
more
right.
personal.
I'm gonna say this. Whether there's cognitive decline is probably gonna be somewhere we're not thinking as much or critically. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna put a caveat before it though. I think our creativity is going to, for some people at least, the creativity skyrocketing. I think our innovation and our creativity, but here's the caveat. This is what I told someone earlier today, we were talking about this. But you have to have the general feel of the land. You have to have the knowledge of that field or that area in order to maximize your creativity with these AI tools. So in other words, it's like let's say you are conducting an orchestra. You can only conduct if you know the instruments and you know the music and you can
Yes.
read the music and you know your student, right? You know your players, musicians. You can only do that. You couldn't just get up there and have some tool do that for you because you wouldn't know if they were off
Yeah, you wouldn't know
key or
by
out
not
of
because
tune, right?
you with the
Yeah, I
tuning
think it's
and
the same
everything.
thing. You can be hyper creative or super creative with these tools now in your field if you know that field, if you know that knowledge and you're kind of immersed in it, then it's going to allow you to go further. But it's not going to just replace that basic fundamental thinking and level of knowledge. If you like, a teacher can use it maybe to enhance lesson plans and teaching. If they've been an experienced teacher and they have a foundation, then I think it's going to allow them to do that. So that's my caveat. But I do think creativity is going to surge. But there's parameters around that.
And I think we're gonna see in the next coming years, like like around what's it, around privacy, around everything, around confidentiality, or like we're gonna like security. We're gonna see that in the next couple years in the AI mindfulness and the wellness space.
Transportation.
And yeah,
Singapore uses a lot in transportation,
okay,
where AI is directing a lot of traffic and transportation. It's really fascinating. So yeah, it's just gonna infiltrate every area of our life,
yeah,
including mindfulness, including mental health.
including mental health and mind. Oh yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
already
So
happening. I
we
mean,
might as
it's
well try to figure out how to best optimize it and use it because it's coming. It's gonna.
Well, I will
It's
tell
already.
you for
It's
everybody out
already.
there, and I speak for most therapists and my coaching. My coaching by law, I don't need to, and I write in personal notes, but and when you're a licensed therapist, you have to write notes for every session. For God forbid you're subpoenaed or whatever. And let me tell you, these notes are time consuming. And I will say, I hope that all my clients, when I have my practice, will sign the waiver that they want things recorded because that will save me so much time.
Yeah,
If I'm, like AI can do with,
can
Zoom
save a lot of
meetings.
time.
And
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than write manual notes. Right now, I
Yeah.
am writing physical manual notes at my internship site for sessions, and it takes me a good half an hour
Yeah.
per session. So add sessions and then add a half an hour to every, so that's more time.
Yeah. I
We're
think we
already
need.
like, it's fine. Like I'm doing it because I'm learning and I love it, but it's a lot. It's time. The administrative tasks of therapists, people don't talk about that. Like they're like,
Yeah, it's
oh
it's going to automate in the next few years. It'll automate all these like repetitive tasks. And I
yes,
think
yes,
what we need also with the creativity, I just thought of is discernment. We need to discern.
yes,
What you were saying is discern between when to use a tool, what's the right tool, when we shouldn't even use AI. And discernment comes from, mindfulness is very much about discernment and mental training. It's just taking time to watch the mind, sit with the mind and the thoughts, but discern whatever can strengthen or enhance discernment, I think is going to be a credible quality that we need going into the future.
absolutely. Well, Steve, this has been a amazing conversation. Thank you
I've really
so
enjoyed it, Danielle. Yeah.
so much for joining.
Great.
And Steve is on LinkedIn. I know I mentioned where your blog was before, but I
Yes.
know you have a bunch of books out, so which I'm sure are on Amazon
On Amazon. Yeah.
about
Um,
mindfulness. But is that on LinkedIn is where people, if they want to follow
LinkedIn too,
your
you can find Amazon. Yeah, you can find the new book is releasing in should by Rutledge, but should be about May, but you can order the pre-sale. You can
awesome.
order pre-sale
Perfect.
copy. So you can go on LinkedIn or Amazon and search that up. Meta meditation, how neuroscience, virtual reality, and AI are changing practice and how you can benefit.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I definitely would love to have you back. I could talk about this stuff for all day.
Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you guys. And thank you everybody for listening. And as usual, you can find the Feeling and Healing podcast on YouTube at Feeling and Healing, as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify.